The king is being questioned by a vampire. The vampire is clearly a spiritual practitioner, and the king has to be as well, otherwise the vampire is going to consume him. And this is the situation of the spiritual practitioner. If you're a spiritual practitioner, you realize the power of your own cravings. That's the vampire side. On the other hand, you also realize the danger of being consumed by your own notions, taken in by your own stories. So the vampires asked the king a question, and the answer's actually quite easy, so the king's not really in any danger. But in a way, this is self-enquiry in action. Moment to moment, you're on the spot. You're either consumed or you turn your attention to the truth. So with spiritual practice, it's quite handy to have this vampire nearby to remind you of what you should be about. The vampires essentially asked the king a question, and the answer's really the self. It's always being directed back to the self. The question points to the self, and so does the answer. The king answered, "O vampire, this universe was once enveloped by a series of coverings, even as a fruit is enveloped by its skin." So this universe, enveloped by a series of coverings, I think is just our normal understanding of the universe. But it's enveloped by a skin of stories. There was a branch on which there were thousands of such fruits. So each fruit's a universe. There was a tree with thousands of such branches, a forest with thousands of such trees, a hill with thousands of such forests, a country with thousands of such hills, a continent with thousands of such countries, a sphere with thousands of such continents, an ocean with thousands of such spheres, a being with thousands of such oceans within him, and a supreme person who wears thousands of such beings as a garland. There is a sun in whose rays thousands of such supreme persons are found. That sun illumines all. So here we have an incredible appreciation of what consciousness is. That sun is the sun of consciousness, O vampire. In that light of that sun, these universes are but minutest atomic particles. It is because of the light of that sun that all these other things enumerated appear to be real. This consciousness is our very own consciousness. And so it's worth dwelling on that paragraph to appreciate the awesome magnitude of our own consciousness. The king said, "In the Supreme Self shine as dust particles substances known as time, space and motion, which are conscious and pure intelligence." So there's some explanations in parentheses here. The substances which shine as dust particles are concepts or relative realities, and time, space and motion are movement in and of consciousness. What we've got here are the parameters by which consciousness appears to itself. These are the parameters of time, space and motion. With these parameters we experience shapes and all the rest of the sensory experience. We've got consciousness moving, which is the attention. The attention can move from one part of the field of experiencing to another. And we've got intelligence. Intelligence is what starts discriminating one part of that field of experiencing from another and starts building up memories and impressions and so on. So this is the Supreme Self. within it arise time, space and motion, along with the moving attention and the discriminating intelligence, which is described here as the pure intelligence. And this is to remind us that it's pure in the sense that it's not yet identifying with any stories. It's not taking any stories as real just yet. So the Supreme Self, the Self or Brahman, though appearing to migrate from one dream world to another, does not in fact abandon its own essential nature, nor is it ever ignorant of itself. This sounds like we're talking about reincarnation or going from one life to another, but this is what's happening moment to moment. The dream world presents itself to us from moment to moment. We apply time, space and motion to it. Our attention moves around within it, and we construct stories about it. But all this is arising within the attention itself, which is awareness. This is Brahman, which always knows itself, but we have to turn to that self-knowledge in order to appreciate that for ourselves. Even as when the stem of a banana is peeled, it's usually the plantain which is referred to here. Every layer, as it is peeled off, reveals another similar layer. When this world appearance is inquired into, it is seen as none other than Brahman. This Brahman is referred to positively as the truth, Brahman, etc. And since it is beyond description, it is also negatively indicated as emptiness and indescribable, etc. Whatever is experienced as real is the reality. Though its particular form is put together by the experience, it is not but pure consciousness, even as the banana stem is nothing but banana stem, and every layer of it is of identical nature. So we come back to the self as pure experiencing. Whatever is experienced as real is the reality. The emphasis here is on experiencing and not on the stories that we've constructed about reality.